video, I'm going to share with you the 3-step strategy to building your aesthetic body. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Cody Crockett, and I help men to build the confidence, the aesthetic physique, and the masculine strength to become the best versions of themselves. And in this video, I'm sharing with you the 3-step strategy to building your aesthetic physique. Now, so many of us may be at different phases on our journey. You may be at a place where you may be skinny, underdeveloped, and never lifted a weight in your life. You may be at a place where you're overweight with some excess body fat and you're trying to do cardio to try to lose weight. So many of us are at different phases on our journey, and I'm going to speak to you today in a way where you're as if you're beginning your aesthetic journey for the first time. And step number 1 when embarking on this aesthetic journey is to build your base, to build a base strength level, a base muscle mass level, and develop your body in a way where you have a foundation to work with. And the best way to build your base is to do compound movements, to do the primal strength movements, as I call them: the push, the pull, the deadlift, the squat, and farmer's walks, also a lunge. Doing these foundational compound movements that recruit a large amount of muscle is one of the best ways to build your base. And it's important that you first build your base, because if you don't have a base to work with and you try to just lean up and get as lean as possible, then you're not going to have anything to show off. You're just going to be another skinny dude that feels like he just is a hard gainer that can't actually gain weight. I hear it every day. I hear it from so many people. I'm a hard gainer. I'll never be able to build a physique. Well, no, those are all lies. It's not true. The problem is that you don't have the right training plan or the right strategy, and that you're not getting the results that you're looking for. Our physiologies aren't really that much different. Our physiology, our biology as humans, we're all generally around the same. So if you're a male, if you're a man, you tend to respond about the same way to exercise and training as most people do. So beginning with starting a base, building a foundation, is one of the best ways to just as a whole develop your whole physique. So when you're using these compound movements, it's recruiting a large amount of muscle effort. It's stimulating your nervous system. And it's through doing those primal strength movements, those compound movements, that you can stimulate and develop your whole physique as a whole before we really hone in and start to sculpt some of the specific areas we want to bring out. Which brings us to step number 2, which is to sculpt your weak points, to sculpt your physique. And when we're sculpting a physique, this is where we can start to implement more of these isolation movements, and isolation movements that are going to target specific muscle groups or specific body parts. For example, if I want my delts to grow, I can get my whole upper body, my chest, my back to grow by doing heavy presses, to do pull-ups, some of those bigger compound movements to build my base. Now, if I want to focus specifically on, say, the lateral delt, well, that's something I want to sculpt through using more isolation or accessory movements that can target specific this area rather than just as a whole. Because in order to have an aesthetic physique and to really have the proportions, the golden ratio, the different proportions that we're looking for to have that aesthetic look, you want to focus on specific areas. And that's the areas that we're going to emphasize the V taper. So choosing exercises that are more isolation in nature to target specific areas of the body is a great way to sculpt your physique. So that's step number 2, is to sculpt your physique using these isolation movements. And then finally, step number 3, once you've built your base with the compound movements, once you've sculpted your physique using some of these isolation movements, this is where you then want to shred down. You want to lose body fat. You want to lose the fat around the muscles so that you can then show off your physique, show off all the hard-earned muscle that you've built up, and now you can lean down, shred down, and actually show off the definition between the muscles, show off the fiber striations, show off the separation between the different muscle groups. And it's through this process of building up, sculpting, and then shredding down that you can really show off your physique in the best way possible. Now, Let's say, for example, that you don't listen to this process and you just jump to number 3. Say you're at a point where it's like, you know what, it's summertime. I just want to be shredded. I've never actually lifted weights. I don't work out, but I want to get as lean as possible. Well, if you're that guy and you're just looking to get as lean as possible without actually having built your base or sculpted your weak points, then you're going to have really nothing to show off. You're just going to be another skinny dude that thinks he's a hard gainer. So it's important that we go through this process of putting the time in to build and develop your physique before you actually then shred down to show off your physique. And it's important to understand in this process of building your physique up, to pack on muscle mass and to sculpt your physique, it's going to take being okay with adding a little bit of body fat on, because it's important to have a little extra body fat so that your hormones are in a place where you're able to build muscle effectively. The mistake that so many men make is that they try to stay lean and pack on lean muscle mass without actually gaining body fat. Well, it can be done, but it's a very difficult thing to do. And a lot of times, the men that I work with that aren't really willing to gain the body fat, or the men that I see that aren't really willing to gain the body fat, what happens is they never actually see the results. They never actually put on the muscle mass that they really want to put on, because they have this idea that they want to stay lean and be a lean gainer. And instead of going from a lean gainer, they then decide to call themselves a hard gainer, when in reality, you're just not stimulating the body enough and you're not eating enough food. Because in order to actually gain muscle mass and to actually build your physique, you have to eat food. You have to add a little bit of fat to put your body in a hormone state that is optimal for muscle growth. And that optimal muscle growth state is between 15 to 20% of body fat. That's not the body fat percentage that we're looking for when we're shredding down, but when it comes to being shredded, like this image down here, being shredded, we're looking to get down to around that 10% body fat. So when you're bulking up, you're shooting for around 15, 20% body fat, and that's ideal for bulking up and adding on muscle to your base. And when it comes to shredding down, a good number to aim for is to get your body to 10% body fat or less. So this is the 3-step strategy to building your aesthetic body. If you're new and just starting your journey, I encourage you to take these 3 steps and follow this process. And if you're younger and say your teens or your 20s, take the time to really build and sculpt your physique, because in these earlier parts of your life, this is when your body is most apt to actually adding and bulking and gaining muscle. Once you hit your 30s, your 40s, you don't gain muscle as easy if you're natural. If you're using hormones, if you're using drugs, performance enhancing substances, sure, you can push the limits in your 30s, 40s, 50s, but I'm talking about being natural, and natural is the route that I'm going at this point in life. And in order to optimize your physique naturally, you're going to want to add as much muscle mass as possible in your teens and your 20s. From there, once you've packed on muscle, you have a base, you have a physique that you're happy with, that's when you can really lean up to really show off your physique. So that's your 3-step strategy right there. You can keep your eyes open for my men's aesthetic physique program going live to launch September 1st. Right now we're in the closed beta stages of testing, and it's going really well. And we're going to be looking to launch that and open that up come September 1st. So really excited to share that with you. So many men are getting great results with that. And there's a lot of work that I've put into this program, and I know you're going to love it. If you're looking for that, you can stay up to date on the news coming with that. Check out primalrx.com. You can also find information on my coaching there. And yeah, I think that's everything for this video. Thanks for watching. I'm sure you got a lot out of this one, and at least got the wheels turning on what are the steps to actually developing and building an aesthetic physique. So thanks for listening. Again, my name is Dr. Cody Crockett, and I will see you in the next video.